Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome everyone to Bamboo Wealth Financial Planning Does Matter. Today we have a special guest. We'll be talking about private health insurance, and we'll be talking to Chris Starlett from AIA generally, and Chris will be able to provide us with some basic information. Again, just remember this is by nature general advice. We're not providing any specific advice about which policy to take out. This is information for people to consider in relation to why they may need to consider private health insurance and how that could actually protect their family. So Chris, thank you very much for agreeing to be with us today. Chris, I wanted to just get you to explain to yourself with the audience what you do and with AIA and private health insurance.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sam. Firstly, thanks for having me on. So as you mentioned, I'm Chris, I'm with AIA and I look after largely the AIA health solution, so our private health insurance solution, amongst all the advisors and the aggregator networks within Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia and WA.
Okay, excellent. So Chris, we wanted to sort of set the foundations for private health insurance. Now, generally, what is Medicare and what does it mean in Australian context?
Yeah, absolutely. So look, I think we're very, very fortunate in Australia to have a very, very robust public healthcare system, and that is fundamentally what Medicare is. So that is basically the government subsidised healthcare system that we have that allows us to get access and treatment in the public system with heavily subsidised and reduced out-of-pocket costs for everything from hospital coverage to pharmaceutical benefits as well.
Okay, so what's the, sometimes people are not quite clear of the differences. What's the difference between Medicare and actually private health insurance? What are the main differences?
Yeah, so look, I think it's probably important to point out, Sam, that the private health system is designed to complement the existing Medicare or the public healthcare system. So typically speaking, the Medicare system will subsidise anywhere between 75 to 85, and in some cases 100% of hospital and health services. Medicare, private health, I should say, comes in and covers whatever that additional gap is in those services. So if you go and have a treatment done and Medicare covers 75%, private health can come in and cover the remaining 25% of that, up to the Medicare benefit schedule limit as well. It's important to point out.
So sometimes clients may be out of pocket, even though they may be using the Medicare system, the government medical system, and also private health insurance. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah. So the Medicare system is based largely upon the benefit schedule that they have, which is a listed amount for each treatment. Sometimes a provider or a hospital may charge above that limit, which means there might be small out-of-pocket costs for the individual. Okay,
so if families are concerned about the healthcare and that their family needs and them individually, what are some benefits, or what are some tax or policy benefits that would encourage someone to take out a private health cover rather than rely on the government Medicare system?
Yeah, so it's a good question, Sam. So there's a number of initiatives that the government have employed to really encourage people to take up private health. One of the biggest ones at the moment, it's a bit of a carrot and a stick routine, I think is probably one way to put it. So the first one is the Medicare levy surcharge. So the health system is funded via the Medicare levy, which everyone or most Australian taxpayers will pay 2% in their income tax for the Medicare services. If you are a higher income earner, you may be liable for an additional tax on top of that if you do not hold private health cover. And that can be an additional 1 to 1.5% depending on your income.
Okay.
So that's a bit of a stick, so a bit of an extra tax burden, unfortunately, if you don't have the health coverage.
Yep.
The carrot side of it, or where there's an additional benefit, is that if you do take up private health, the government may provide a subsidy for your premiums.
Okay, yep.
And again, it's means tested. So the more you earn, the lower that subsidy. But I suppose for one way to put it, if you're 90,000 and less, so the average wage in Australia is about just shy of 90,000. So if you're earning 90,000 or less as an individual, you will actually get a rebate from the government of about 25% of your premium for the private health coverage.
Okay. One other thing, in relation to younger Australians, I understand there's also a restriction or I want to say penalty or carrot stick, but essentially the lifetime the lifetime cover or penalty. Can you explain that a bit further?
Absolutely, yeah. So the health system, again, I suppose the government is really trying to encourage people to come into the private health system, because what it helps to do is relieve the burden on the public system. Okay. So with the lifetime health cover loading that you alluded to, Sam, is that once you reach the age of 31, above that age, if you don't have private health coverage, you will get a loading of 2% for every year that you don't have coverage when you take it up. So for example, if you don't have coverage at 30, but then you take it up at 40, you will pay an extra 20% on top of your premium for that same level of coverage.
Yeah, okay. So it's really important to encourage the younger Australians to also consider insurance when they're younger, rather than wait till they're over 40 because of this penalty regime.
Absolutely, because it takes a full 10 years for that lifetime health cover loading to be removed. Yeah. So you've got to have private health for 10 years before they'll remove that. But on the flip side of that as well, Sam, a relatively recent addition to the regulation is age-based discounts. So for people that are younger than 30, some private health insurers are actually offering further discounts for those members based on their age, being below 30, that they can carry through potentially up to the age of 40 as well. So actually increasing a discount for a much longer period in time.
Okay, that's quite a good new introduction to the system, my understanding.
It is, that's exactly right, yeah. So the APRA has stepped in and made some really good changes in the last couple of years.
Okay, and what's the benefits of having private health insurance compared to the Medicare public system? Do you find
clients? Yeah, good question. I think, yeah, look, probably the biggest plus side of the private health system is it gives you choice. So choice to choose your own doctor, choice to choose your own hospital, but probably really importantly as well, it actually allows you to get treatment when you need it in a timely manner. Okay. So particularly now, I think the public healthcare wait lists for non-emergency surgeries have really blown out because of COVID and the like. Sure. What we know is the longer that someone has an ailment and that they don't get it treated for, it quite often leads to secondary conditions as well. So it gives you the ability to get treatment nice and quickly by the doctor and the hospital that you choose, rather than being assigned a hospital doctor whilst you're in there.
Yeah, instead of being on the long-term waiting list for elective surgery, as an example.
Exactly right, spot on. Yeah.
Yeah, and so how can it's obviously there's a lot of products out there, as you know we deal a lot with superannuation products, insurance, investment products. How can Australians actually compare the different types of health insurance policies in the marketplace?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's notoriously been quite difficult in previous years to really be able to get a clear comparison between providers. Again, one of the regulations that the government has stepped in with that came into force in April of last year was the standardisation of hospital cover, which means every provider has to have a basic, a bronze, a silver and a gold level of hospital coverage that provides the same benefits across providers. So what it means is that you can pick up your Bupa schedule and you can compare it to an AIA and get a very, very apples for apples comparison and then have a look at the costs and do the comparison that way. So it's a lot easier these days and a lot more transparent.
Okay. And one other thing is most private health covers generally cover your hospital stay and also extras. Can you give us a bit of explanation? What does extras cover mean?
Yeah, so extras, or sometimes you'll hear the term ancillary cover, is basically your non-hospital benefits that you can get outside. So think of things like dental coverage, so everything from general dental and preventative dental, so your regular checkups and the like, right through to all your major dentals and your, a lot of that really expensive stuff that you can get done with your teeth. Then it can also be the physio, the chiropractic work as well, go through to massage therapy. It can even include things like swim lessons and the like as well. So it's a fairly broad range, again, depending on the provider and depending on the level of cover that you have.
Sure. What would be some examples of policy differentiation? So I've seen some where obviously the obvious one is the family, and then you've got singles. What would be some other characteristics or categories of policies in the marketplace?
Yeah, so it's a good question, Sam. So probably on the very much on the extra side of things, policies can vary quite a bit in terms of the amount that you actually receive back per claim. So some providers will have, or most providers will have a percentage back per claim.
Yeah.
But they may also have what's called fixed benefits products as well, where you will just get a set amount back each time that you go to that particular provider. Think a physio or an osteo. And these are probably some of the really key things that you really want to look out for in your comparison, or when you're doing an assessment on your private health needs, which benefits you actually need and use regularly, and how much you're going to get back at each claim.
Okay, they're quite good points, because people choosing private health insurance should look at exactly what they need primarily, which is what the objectives are, what they are using, and then from there they'll be able to determine exactly which policy would be best for them and their individual needs. Any just last one, Chris, just any tips you could give our audience in relation to considering purchasing, researching different types of private health insurance that you have found, maybe from your experience? People ask you about, how do I choose a fund?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a good question, Sam. So there's a really great website, actually, the private health insurance website, privatehealthinsurance.org. You can jump on and actually get a lot of detail behind the meanings of some of these terms that we've been using today and how it may impact you at an individual level. And it can also help you to do a comparison as well for not only your individual needs or family needs, but between providers as well. So that's a really good option, I think, for people to do. But I think one thing I would say, Sam, is one of the scary stats in the private health world is individuals or families are generally reviewing their private health once every 8 years.
Wow.
Which is a long time, considering the cost of private health these days. Yeah. So what I would really encourage you is, on a regular or biannual sort of period, check the actual needs that you need as an individual or family, and then compare your policy with the market to make sure you're getting the best deal at that point in time.
Sure, yeah, because obviously there's a lot of things that can occur. Last year extraordinarily, we've had the impact of COVID-19. Families' cash flow has been impacted. Their needs will change over time, obviously, from being single, couple, to married, then to retirees. So you're right. We always advise our clients to try to review their policy, just like we do each year. But generally, with private health insurance, every 2 to 3 years is a good time to look at it, or when there's significant circumstances change in your life. Look, Chris, thanks very much for being with us today. I would like to thank you again for being with us, and hopefully we can have you on another time for a different topic. But once again, thank you very much. And everyone out there, thank you for being with us in today's session of private health insurance. And remember, this presentation is based on general advice, not personal advice. If you need specific personal advice, you should seek, contact either the insurance companies themselves, and they'll be able to give you more tailored specifications of what policy you need. Chris, once again, thanks very much, and hope to see you again in the future.
Lovely. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it.
Good on you. Thanks very much. Okay, I'll just...